Daboratory, leave the dopest nerd you ever seen. One day he smoked some cannabis and had a dream. What if he could sesh with fandom's best in Dexter's Dab?
Hello, friends. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Nerdy Stoner Podcast with your favorite huggable stone nerd, Dexter, aka Stash Tokum. And today we have some very, very awesome special guests in the building. We have this amazing, creative Megazord, Fantastic Four of a team. These guys have been writing and creating art for who knows how long, but they just had a Kickstarter finish being back for their project called Into the Abyss. Midnight Comics, how we doing, guys?
Fantastic.
Good.
Getting educated.
Awesome.
Yeah, again, thanks for having us, man. We're great.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Again, congratulations on the Kickstarter being back. Yeah, can you guys tell us a little more about Into the Abyss, how this creative duo came together and everything to form this? Let's say, who would like to start? Brandon, how about you start?
Sure, yeah. My name is Brandon.
Actually, sorry, let's introduce this first. Yeah, let's introduce ourselves. So, Brandon, you can go first. My bad, getting ahead of myself.
Oh, good. I'm Brandon. I go by Brandon Manga. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a father, and I'm just a guy with a dream.
Nice.
My name is Josiah. Most notably on the internet, I'm known as Masuda_J. You can find me on pretty much anything. Just don't look for my Facebook. Other than that, I'm about to be a college graduate in the coming December.
Congratulations, man.
Other than that, I'm just some guy.
I'm Josh Baldwin. I'm an illustrator and concept artist. I paint, I draw, I design anywhere from general illustrations from fantasy, sci-fi, things of that nature, to weapon design, websites, graphic design. I kind of just made a business on the model of trying not to say no, because I like learning to be flexible, and I like trying new things, right? So being able to work in different industries, creating designs that resonate with things other than the things I love, like fantasy and sci-fi, is kind of what I try to aim for. But I'd like to do more comics, which is why Midnight Comics, and working with this team has been such a blessing.
That's nice. And last but not least,
Yes. What's going on, everybody? My name is Chad Singleton. I'm from Atlanta. Just like Josh said, kind of the same here. I make a practice of not saying no. So I am one of the writers and editors for Into the Abyss. I also do writing for multiple comic books, some screenwriting for like short films and animation. Also, I write horror short stories as well. I also do voice acting for different things. Thank you. Like some video games, some indie anime, indie animations, all kind of cool stuff. And other than that, I am finishing up my doctoral program for public health. So that'll be a thing pretty soon. And yeah. Thank you. And that's it. And I just got engaged. So yeah. Shout out to my wonderful Thank you. Shout out to my wonderful fiance Sinclair, who's definitely watching this for sure. So love you, babe.
Awesome. Congratulations,
bro.
You got some talented, smart motherfuckers in this episode. Let's go. Come on, Black Excellence. So how did you guys all meet and come together to form your team?
I saw yeah, go ahead, Josh.
We all ended up in the internship, I think, through different ways. I like to reach out to businesses to kind of see, if anyone needs any freelance art or if they hire freelancers. And if so, what does that process look like for hiring them or keeping them in the loop for new projects? And so I met Midnight Comics a few years ago at DreamCon in 2023, I believe. And so I had them on my radar. I was watching them from afar. So I decided to reach out. And at the time, they didn't need any freelance art. They were running an internship. So I joined. And then on the latter half of that, they grouped us into teams to work on a thriller. But I'll let everyone else kind of go through how they got involved.
The way I found out about Midnight Comics was the way I feel like a lot of people find out about things nowadays. I was scrolling through my Instagram reels and it popped up in my feed, and I thought I could do this. So I clicked the link and I went through the whole process of going through and gave them the info they needed. I also sent the link to a buddy of mine, which I mean, but other than that, I thought when it came to this, it was you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see how this goes.
Nice, nice. Brandon, what was it like for you to?
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, Chad. You or whoever would
no,
like to go
no,
first.
I'm fine
Brandon,
waiting.
no
I'm
problem.
cool. I was just
Okay.
gonna, yeah. Go ahead, Chad. Please go ahead.
Okay. No, it was really quick. Yeah, it was cool. Kind of how I came into contact with Midnight Comics. Like there again, just kind of like Josh said, we met at the first time in person at a convention in Atlanta where me and one of the co-owners of the company, Tasha, we were actually both we were in the same room because she's a voice actor as well. And me and her were doing a panel for voice acting. But before that, they had already been kind of familiar with me because I've worked on a couple of their. They had a audio series for a minute where they had some superheroes and like some people that were like original characters I think it was called like Tales from Midnight or something like that, and I had voice acted in a couple of their series. And also on the other end of that, my brother and I, we also work for another comic book company. My brother, Joshua Singleton, he's also a great comic book artist and writer. We work for, I don't know if you heard of like Black Lion and Cubs. We work with them as well. So at the time we put out a comic book and some animations and stuff, and Midnight Comics, they were very well knowing their stuff as well. So around the time, they reached out to me actually, and they were like, hey, we know about your writing, all this, all that. Because of that, would you like to be a blog writer for us? So I didn't start off writing a comic book for them. I wrote it was like a kind of like a weekly blog, which was really cool, where we talk about all kind of stuff from daily topics as far as comic books are related, and really anything in the nerd space, like anything with like Marvel movies. I focused on a lot of horror stuff, and it was really cool. And that's pretty much how I came in contact with them before I knew that we would all be kind of joining together in a Avengers team to make a comic book. So yeah.
Nice. And how about you, Brandon?
Yeah, I basically got onto Instagram as my first social media app, so I was just looking for different pages to follow. And being an artist, I wanted to get into the comic book space. I didn't know Blurred was a thing. For those that don't know, a black nerd, but I always knew in my heart I kind of was a bit of a nerd, like just because I like to draw anime and stuff. And outside of this, like I was in a marching band, for example, things people wouldn't assume that I've done. So I've always had that nerdy side of me. And when I saw the black-owned comic book company, Midnight Comics, I thought, okay, well, another year's passed me by where I never took a leap where I would apply for an internship. So I finally took that leap, and here I am.
Nice. That's awesome. It's like you guys all manifested the same dream, and it just kind of Midnight Comics just kind of pulled you guys in together and was like, yes, this is the team right here, which is awesome, because it just goes to show, like, when you take that leap of faith, you never know what could happen. You could meet awesome people and start making something amazing.
For sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
What have been some of your biggest influences and inspirations for like on your creative journey, and who like continues to inspire you today? Just want to start with Josiah. You want to go first?
If we're talking about creative inspirations, I personally probably think WWE anime, somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay.
Because what a lot of people probably don't realize about World Wrestling Entertainment, let alone professional wrestling as an art form, is that a lot of it is story based,
Mm-hmm.
where you get a character like, say, yeah, probably one of the most popular, most well-known characters in the world, The Undertaker. The man behind the person Mark Calloway was able to take a gimmick, which is essentially what they call the character, a wrestling gimmick that was originally supposed to just be a wrestling mortician, then he later would evolve it into a lesser extent to that wrestling mortician, to a wrestling cult leader, into a wrestling biker, back into more of a wrestling mortician, but not to the same extent of as exaggerated as it was in, say, in the 90s as to where it would be nowadays. So it's a matter of watching the process go weekly as opposed to watching it having to go from, say, a yearly basis or 2 years with a movie.
So he had arcs. Interesting. Nice. Brandon, how about you?
I really got inspired by Batman and Ninja Turtles back in the day. That's really my origin story, you could say. From there, just Dragon Ball Z, this Dragon Ball Z trope, I just love that warrior spirit. And that kind of led me to exercising and stuff like that. And from there, currently, I really love the creator of Vagabond. I believe his name is... I can't even remember his name, to be honest. Inoue is his last name. But yeah, his style is amazing. To me, every time I watch it, it's like, it blows my mind. Literally, it's like, as some people would look at flowers and they'd be like, wow, it's so beautiful. And I love nature. But for me, his art style has that same effect. It inspires me so much.
Nice. That's awesome. I also am a Dragon Ball Z kid. Grew up with Toonami, as I'm sure many of us did. Definitely inspired some creativity, that warrior spirit, as you say. Don't give up. You can always reach that next level.
That's right.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good It's an inspiration that a lot of us have, grown up with.
For sure.
Josh, how about you?
Yeah, this is kind of a loaded question, but I think like originally it was Watchmen and Batman. Batman was the first comic I had ever had. I think a lot of us probably, at least in like the 90s babies, like we had like encyclopedias, you know what I mean? Like superhero encyclopedias, manga encyclopedias. Like we had stuff that really was existing to support these franchises, these worlds. But like the first comic I actually had was a Batman one. So like the act of like someone investigating crimes, which, without going into a tangent, like that's where I started, was with Batman and Watchmen. Nowadays, because that was, I think, one of your parts of your question was what's currently inspiring us is so I do a lot of like designing, right? Like outside of Midnight, like a lot of like weapons, like a lot of weapons. I just like a lot. I just did 1,000 melee weapons, right? It's a first for me.
Wow.
Big number. It wasn't 1,000. It was 993 or 4 or something like that. So I didn't actually hit the 1,000 mark. I wasn't aiming for that, but like building things that like aren't strictly in the fiction space. Something that like if you took to really anybody that had the capabilities, they could build a real world counterpart that could function just as good as your design does. And someone who inspires me to do that, his name's Ash Thorpe. He's a CGI designer, and he does a lot of hard surface materials. He did a series with, what is his name? I would advise anyone to look up Make Haste Corp. They have an Instagram and a website, and they actually have a YouTube series where they break down their designs. But they're building cars, right? Like CGI cars, but then they're also able to take these cars to companies and get them built in the real life. But the thing is, these cars aren't like meant to be driven on the street because they're not, like they're practical. You can drive them on the street, but they're not. You don't want to drive them fast because they're more so for a show, right? Like how do the curves look? What do designs do? How do you keep the engine cool? How do you put air on the tires? How do you keep the grip the road? And these things I think really inspire me. As far as Into the Abyss, since it's a thriller, I think the most recent thing that's inspired me within that genre would be Nosferatu from Robert Eggers. I think that would be the most recent one. Yeah, it was great. I mean, you can't really, in my mind, you really can't. It's real art, right? It's not like the fantasy or superhero franchises, meddling with something that's like a really old story. It's just someone telling a solid story, trying to stay faithful to the material, great performances. So So I'd say that. I actually went back and watched the original, which was a tough watch, but it was a tough watch. No sound. But yeah, that will be my answer.
Nice. And how about you, Chad?
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, mine is kind of like a loaded question too, because like yourself, I actually had and have my own podcast where I've been lucky enough. It's called the Square Roundtable Podcast, actually, and that's another thing that I record with my brother and my best friends, and through that time, I've been really lucky to have like a master class from people. Like I've talked to Rodney Barnes and a lot of people in the comic book industry and in voiceover, and it kind of gave me a good idea of how to navigate in these fields. But one person that I spoke to, I was actually thinking about it. It's really cool you asked that question because I was thinking about this the other day. You might not recognize his name, but there's this comic book creator, and his name is Dave Baker. He's super duper talented, a great writer. He actually has a couple books out right now. One called Halloween Boy, which everybody should check out, and another one called Mary Tyler Moorhawk, which is really good. But one thing that he talks about is being the frustration of like wanting to create and not necessarily knowing the vehicle for how to get that done. But the other thing is, like, for him, the thing that inspired me is because like he didn't necessarily have the backing of the big two of Marvel and DC. Now he got there. But the thing that I thought so interesting about him when I met him is that he was already putting out stuff. Like he was making his own, forging his own way forward, putting out his own indie comics, and he didn't rely on like a huge, conglomerate to make that happen for him. And that really inspired me to just be like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to necessarily wait for Marvel or DC. I might not totally understand how this vehicle works, but I'm gonna just try it. Whatever. I'm gonna just try to put out cool stuff, try to meet people to, see if I can't figure out how to do something, have somebody else that, can do it. Like for me, I'm not a illustrator by any means, but Brandon is, and Josh is, and people like that, and we can come together and collab to make something really cool. And I've been blessed enough to have multiple interactions like that. So yeah, talking to a guy like Dave, he really inspired me, being a person that had no idea how to break into the comic book industry at all. So yeah, it's a big help.
Yeah, that's awesome. And yeah, like you said, if you just kind of go out here and do your thing, like I'm still blown away by Josh saying he made almost 1,000 weapons. Like that's insane. Which, by the way, reminds me, do you have like a favorite that you've made, or favorites? I know it's kind of hard to pick out of so many, but if you could think of one or two that have been your favorites,
without saying too much, so they're melee weapons, so knives, hammers, clubs, axes, swords, spears, and machetes. Brass knuckles too. Those are in there. And so this is the first. They're the first round.
Brass knuckles. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you. I thought so too. But like they're the first round, right? So I grabbed like 300 or so, and now I'm taking those and making the adjustments that need to be made, and then I'll take those and hopefully whittle that in half, hopefully, and then I'll go in and add like details to them, and then I'll take those and paint them. So as far as the favorites, I'm kind of biased. I like square shapes, and it's hard to explain without, I guess, showing anything. But I think my favorites. How do I say this? So it's for another comic that I'm doing, but it takes place over like 40 years, right? And so you could have 3 weapons that are the same weapon, but you could see the influences, and the access to materials opened up. So they would use a lighter metal, right? So the blade, you didn't have to port it, you didn't have to put holes in it. You could have kept a solid blade, which helps it maintain its structural integrity, right? And then you get a more solid design, so it looks better overall. And then in the far end, right? So like closer to the end of that, we'll say the more futuristic type stuff, you can get better screws. You can add some lights. You could potentially heat the blade to help it cut through certain other materials that their opposing forces might be using. So being able to see like the full arc and say, oh, this will definitely fit for that character, I think is my favorite part. It's just one of those things that, like, so, if you work on for a long time, you can definitely understand your character, so it kind of writes itself. Like stuff that I had already saved for reference that I had intended for certain characters, once I started putting to pen to paper or pen to screen, I realized, oh, that character would never use this. You know what I mean? They would definitely use this one based on what the plot also says. So
nice. And speaking of writing, how did Into the Abyss like actually come into fruition? Like, what did Chad and Josiah, did you guys just kind of have this idea, start writing, and then we're like, okay, we need artists, we're gonna bring in Josh and Brandon? Or was it like maybe the reverse, where Josh and Brandon, were you guys like just drawing, we're like, oh man, this would be cool characters for a story, but we need somebody to help us flesh it out? Or I guess like how did all of your minds kind of come together and create this world?
Did you want to start, Josiah?
If I'm not mistaken, the way this all worked out was Midnight Comics. They all put us into a group. From there, they told us to think of a comic genre, think of what we want to do from there. Once we got that all genred out, that's when we started going through the whole, where do we want it? Where do we want to, are people based off of? How's it going to look? What kind of story are we going for? And once we got that all figured out, that's when it became okay, you get a character, you get a character, you get a character. From there, that's when we'll all come together and be like, okay, I like this part of that character. I like this part of your character more than I like this part of that character more. And we pretty much just combined it into one cohesive unit, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. And to piggyback, and just to keep in mind, like I'm gonna try to stumble through this because I desperately don't want to ruin the plot of the story. But yeah, no, it was really just like, it wasn't a thing to where me and Josiah, even though even though we're kind of labeled the writers, it wasn't a thing to where we were just like kind of off and over there and we were just like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. Then we presented the idea. It was more so like he was saying, we had kind of a sandbox to work with that Midnight Comics, they kind of said, okay, well, we would like everybody to do like a horror theme, and we was like, okay, cool. But from there, everything else was basically just a full-blown collaborative idea. I actually remember the meeting and we were just all like, okay, we could do this or we could do that, or like we can have the protagonist. Is the protagonist going to be a male? Is that going to make the story move better, or would it work better if the protagonist was a woman? And we kind of figured out, okay, so the protagonist being a woman, that would make the actual story hit harder because of the type of story that we were trying to tell. And then we were like, I remember one of the early ideas that we came up with, we were like, well, I think I came to the table with something like, should the protagonist be like, are we telling like a story about like a doctor or a scientist or something? Because that's what I do. I'm a scientist, so naturally I'm like, a scientist would be cool. And we kind of talked about how that would work. And I think it was Josiah that was one of the first people to come up with the ideas of this actually being sort of a police procedural kind of, to where we would be kind of meeting the characters in the middle of like a manhunt kind of, right? And then we kind of came up with it together because there's so many things in the story going on. Like it's not just one protagonist and it's not just one antagonist. I remember one of the other bad guys that's in the story, Brandon was really instrumental in coming up with his whole thing. And basically to kind of give you an idea, of the story, what we came up with in total was a main character. Her name is Valerie Jekyll. And basically, she has two partners, Donaldson and Ramirez, who are the three people that you see on the cover of the comic, basically. And the story takes place in Atlanta. That was a contribution I really pushed for, because like I'm from Atlanta, so I was like, I really wanted to happen here. And basically, what's going on is like Valerie is a very decorated detective. She's like one of the best that the Atlanta PD has ever seen. And basically, yep, and that's our guys right there. The cover created by one guy that isn't here right now, Ronny. He's like super duper talented. But yeah, and then what's going on essentially is like in this city, there's a myriad of murders that are popping up all around the city, and it's up to Valerie and her two partners to figure out what's going on, because usually they're like the best of the best. They can find anything. They can find anybody based on like maybe some DNA that's left behind, based on a piece of clothing, all kind of stuff. But for some reason, this particular killer that's been just like clapping folks around the city, taking people out like one by one, they're hard to find because they're so precise, they're so clean, and this person has become so prevalent and so huge in the city that they've actually made a name for themselves. The newspapers and everybody calls this person the Autumn Strangler, because this is happening during that part of the year. And not only is this person hard to find, but this person knows that they're being hunted. So they're playing with our protagonist and leaving little breadcrumbs like, ha ha ha, you can't find me. You wish you could, but I'm going to, mess with you and talk trash with you. And it's like the whole point is these people kind of staring into the abyss because they don't know what monster is looking back at them. So that's what we're following our characters into. And I always say this about the story. I love the collaborative effort between everybody. Like literally as we go into this conversation, you'll hear from Brandon and Josh, like they had so much input. You really can't tell where one person's contribution begins and another ends. I mean, we have created such a layered story. And like I said, we came up with Detective Valerie because her being the protagonist, you cannot tell what she's going to be going through, how she's going to be affected, how the story is going to end. There's so many twists and turns, and it's very exciting. So I was very happy to work on it with these guys.
Nice, that's awesome. This story sounds amazing, and I read the description, and the way you put it, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde meets Jack the Ripper, which just sounds amazing and insane, and like all types of psychological fuckery. Like I'm just thinking it's like have you guys watched the series Hannibal?
Loved it.
It's like Hannibal Lecter toying with the detectives, and he's just like, oh, I'm always 3 steps ahead of you, but I'm standing right here. So that sounds really cool. And that's also really cool that it was like an equal collaboration. It wasn't just like, all right, here are the pages, here's the description, you guys make the art and then we'll put it together. It's nice that everybody had a hand in this whole creative process. And looking at this artwork, like Brandon, you and Josh, you guys put in work, man. These guys, these characters look amazing.
Yeah, I got to design the main character, and Josh got to design 2 other characters there, the 2 other characters, Donaldson and Ramirez. So he definitely put in some work for sure.
Nice. I can definitely see it. It looks amazing. So, what was I about to ask? Would have been like some of the, because I know that there are always challenges in the creative process. Would have been some of like the biggest hurdles you guys have had to get over with bringing this creation to life.
Honestly, for me, it was the canvas, and I've said this before, but it's really the truth. It was just when you're not used to a comic book format or the ratios that's going to be used, you create a canvas and you just start drawing, and you got all your work on there. And eventually it has to, as you add more panels, it becomes more and more pixelated, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
So that was honestly one thing that I had to learn and take notes for future projects. I need to make a big enough canvas so that every picture looks nice and crisp. Because I try to be a perfectionist in every work I do. Not saying I am perfect, but I just try to be my best. And that was one thing that was really frustrating for me.
How about you, Josh?
It would be working off of Brandon's lines, because he's he draws in a very like a heavily manga inspired, right? Like so it's which is great. Don't get me wrong, but anyone that's familiar with any of my work, it's very far from that. You know what I mean? So like just understanding like you have to let his lines breathe, right? Because like the way that I draw is I'll create a shape and then in that shape I'll paint for those details, right? But what Brandon does is he'll just draw those details. And I haven't done that in years. So it was just making sure that I'm letting his lines breathe, like letting the artwork exist, which means that I have to pull back. So like the first few pages, it was like a give and take, like going over his work. Cause it's like, oh, okay, I see what this is. Okay. Cause you want his work to shine. That's the whole point of having someone that's talented that can draw, having their drawing is to let it shine. So, I think with any project, getting started is always the most difficult part, generally, right? So I think the first few pages were kind of difficult in that sense, but after that, it became the opposite. It was really fun to work off of his stuff, like a lot of fun.
If I could just add to that real quick, it's like, yeah, with the anime style, it's more like cell shading, so you won't have as much realistic shading. And Josh, what he does is he does super, super detailed shading. So yeah, it definitely kind of clashes a little bit. And we didn't really talk about that, honestly, going into the project. We're just like, okay, let's just do this. And you could, yeah, so for sure.
Nice, but you guys found that that middle lane where you can, blend both styles together, which is really good. It's really cool.
Yeah,
and it was also. Oh no, go ahead.
I would like to say this. I mean, we haven't talked much about it, but like sometime maybe in the coming years, we would like to continue the project because we think that the story could go somewhere. And so it is exciting to like anything that you've done. It's like after you've done it, you're like, oh well, now that I know, you know what I mean? Like now that I've worked off of Brandon's lines, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just like now it's like putting targets back in sights. It's like, oh, okay, like now I know exactly what needs to be done the next time,
It's like relearning or learning a new or old skill, and you're like, okay, I can add this to my repertoire now. This is cool.
Yeah,
nice. How about you, Chad? What types of challenges did the writing team have?
Sure. So I know how it's gonna sound, but I mean, realistically, these guys were just great, man. They were just like whatever kind of little like ideas that I had, even if they were kind of stupid, they were like, yeah, sure, I'll draw that. I got this. I won't tell you what it is, but like I'm a super nerd, man. So I have this little Easter egg that's somewhere in that comic that's kind of like my love letter to like Marvel and DC comics. It's very small. You'll probably miss it if you're not paying attention, but my hopes is that somebody will read it and be like, oh, that's dope. But Josh and Brandon were like, super nice enough to be like, yeah, okay, we'll put that in. But
I thought it was good ideas, bro, honestly.
I appreciate it, man. I definitely. And all of y'all, like I said, everybody's got such great ideas. And I always say that, a team like this is really hard to find because everybody's, some people in this lane can be like, perfectionists or have strong opinions. But I'll say this, just to properly answer the question, if there was any problems, I would say that I had, it was all personal because there was a time that, of course, the story didn't have a title. We were we didn't start off with the title. We just started like Josh. Yeah, like Josh and Brandon said, we just started making stuff. Like we just started, creating. And at a certain point, the comic's almost done. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, what are we going to talk about? I can honestly say I had no input whatsoever in what the title was, because I had an idea that I don't even think I discussed it with you guys. I'll put it in the chat, because if we had did the title that was in my head, it would have literally ruined the twist of the story. Like the actual thing that we're doing was in the title. So I'm glad that I had no so I'm glad that I had no input on the title. And plus, Into the Abyss, I mean, I can't even remember. Like I said, I wasn't in the writer room that day at all, but that is such a great title, and it's like so layered, and it works for literally every single character in this universe. And if we continue the story, I'd love to play with the idea of what that title means. But yeah, that was like the only thing. I was stressing over what the book was going to be called, and everybody else already had it already. So
nice. How about you, Josiah? Any challenges that came up for you or hurdles you had to overcome?
And the only thing I really had any real struggle with was right at the very beginning when we started doing all this.
Mm-hmm.
And that was literally just okay, now our responsibility is to make a comic. What do we make it about? And with that, I went around and started going through a bunch of public domain stuff, because there's a lot of good stuff you can find in there.
Mm-hmm.
it is.
And from there, that's when it became like okay, I'll take a little bit of that, I'll take a little bit of this, I'll just throw it to the wolves and see where it goes.
Nice. Well, I
Oh,
feel like that's...
and I'll chime back in.
Okay.
The one funny thing, I don't even know if you guys remember that early on, and that's what I thought you were going to say, Josiah. Like, we had a huge debate over the type of hair that Valerie was going to have.
Hair is important. Hair says a lot about a person. It says a lot about a character.
Yes, and that was a huge thing. Like, we were just like, I think it should be this way. I think it should be more straight. I think it should be curly. I think it should be locks. I think we had a whole, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't heated or anything, but we just had a whole long debate. I remember it took a while for us to actually, and I think even in some of the content that Brandon has put out on social media, you can literally see the different types of hair that Valerie almost had. So yes, it's on
and
his
her glasses.
If I'm not
And
mistaken,
her glasses too, and
her
everything.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Well, hey, it all came together beautifully, and like I said, I'm glad you guys got back, and I can't wait to see this come out so we can all experience it.
Thank you.
Now, I don't want to keep you guys here too much longer, but this is the Nerdy Stoner podcast, so of course I have to ask some Nerdy Stoner questions. And the most important one of all, guys, if there was a character that you could get high with, comic book, anime, TV show, movie, does not matter, who would it be and why?
If I could go, is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
So I really like Prince Zuko, but the later half of his arc, his redemption story, when he actually becomes a good dude, because I feel like I can kind of relate to that in a way where I've done such a 180 in my life where I would be getting suspended and expelled from school, all the way to honestly like protecting kids in school, for example, standing up to the school bully. So I definitely relate with Prince Zuko for sure, and it would be really cool to have smoke a blunt with him, basically.
And hey, who needs a lighter when you have a firebender?
That's right.
Josiah, how about you?
I'm trying to think of one, and it's a matter of I've never thought about smoking with a character before.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a matter of okay, what do I got in my room right now? Going based off the fact he already does shrooms, I think Mario would be pretty cool.
Classic. Nice. And hey, he's another person where, once he gets that fire flower, no lighter needed. Also, could you imagine getting high and riding a Yoshi?
Epic.
I'm killing it at the end.
Chad, how about you?
Yeah, I'm surprised nobody has said this answer yet because it's obvious. You gotta have a session with Shaggy and Scoob. I mean, come on, like what?
Very classic. Very classic.
You got to, because it's just like okay, because we all know everything. One thing that's associated with the trees is the munchies, man. Like straight up, you go and get the munchies. And what cartoon in the history of cartoon character makes the best sandwiches? Shaggy and Scooby. So I mean, come on, like that's the team right there. So that's if I was going to have some kind of session, it would be with Mr. Shaggy and Scooby Doo. Got to.
Okay, imagine this crossover. Do you remember the Lilo and Stitch TV show on Disney Channel?
Yeah.
Do you remember 625, the one that was always making sandwiches? Imagine him meeting Shaggy and Scooby and them coming together and just making the best super sandwich ever. The most super sandwich.
Yes.
Is this the part where I mentioned?
Yes. Greatest sandwich of all time.
When the Lilo and Stitch movie came out, that was the year I was born.
Really?
Dang.
Oh wow! Oh, I feel so old.
Aging all of y'all.
Hey, it's okay. We all still look young. That's what's most important.
That's right.
That's what's important.
It's a situation of like, I know that there was a show, just like how I know there was a show for the Emperor's New Groove, the Emperor's New School, whatever the hell. And there was Hercules show, and there was the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command show, and all these other shows they had for those Disney movies.
Pretty much gave everybody a show.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think I've seen any of it. Like I own the Buzz Lightyear of Star Command on VHS in my wall of VHS tapes over there, but have I seen the actual show? No.
Well, hey, it's never too late for a watch.
That's right.
Maybe you'll get inspired and make a whole new story too. A space adventure.
There you go.
And how about you, Josh?
I'm gonna pirate Chad's answer because I was thinking like I was looking at my bookshelf. I really don't know. Maybe Batman, but I feel like it'd be too much of a downer. And then I was thinking like Rick Grimes from Walking Dead by Robert Kirkman. Like, too much of a downer. And then every character I'm picking, I'm like, yeah, either they might drop some solid wisdom or something, but like at the end of the day, it's like their life is pretty miserable. So
maybe Batman needs a session with you, bro.
I was saying,
maybe
he could use it, dealing with all those zombies and all that death.
Right.
Yeah. Not to bring the pod down, but he might just start crying. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what Batman's like. Like casually.
I'm just imagining you just kind of being like, "Yeah, they're there, buddy."
Yeah.
Just let it all out, man. Just let it all out.
It's that one panel of Batman and Raphael. This is where I watched my parents die, Raphael.
It's like, dude, okay.
Oh, he's gonna hit him with the Zuko. That's rough, buddy. All right, I got one more for you guys. If this actually kind of ties into Batman and Rick. If there's somebody that you think should not have weed at all, who do you think it is? I'll say whoever wants to answer first.
I would say the Century.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the Century because like he doesn't need a reason to like get more into his own head than he already is. He doesn't need a reason to deep think because if he gets thinking too much, you know what I'm saying, it's over for everybody. We're all becoming like shadows, like it's done. So no, the Century doesn't need that at all.
Yeah, we don't need him entering the void.
No. Nope.
I would say like maybe Ben 10 because like If like most superheroes are like they know their powers, they've had their powers for a while. But Ben 10, he'll just like hit his Omnitrix and then he's a whole new alien one day. You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, what if that one is like, I don't know if any Ben 10 fans out there, but like is like Alien X or something like got like powers. It's like you don't want to be high and then turn into something that can eliminate the universe for the first time and not know anything about it. You know?
He could be like, I just want to be alone.
Exactly.
And next thing you know,
Bro.
everything is gone.
Gone.
Josiah, how about you?
I think a perfectly reasonable option would be Godzilla.
Okay. I get that.
How, for one, how would you feed him? Two, what the hell would he do? Like,
Even if it makes him,
how that would work.
even
But
if
I
it
don't
makes
know
him
how
chill,
much-
what if he falls?
That too, yeah.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would
We don't need a high kaiju.
a haiju?
A haiju.
Just picturing like a giant weed bug monster rampaging through the city.
That would be amazing, actually.
Especially if it's like Shin Godzilla, -1 Godzilla, or the MonsterVerse Godzilla. Like, because if he can control all of them, what the hell's he gonna do?
No.
When he's high? What's he gonna have him do?
No, -1. No, we don't need any. No. Nah.
Brandon, how about you?
I would say Majin Buu, because he'll turn everybody into food and just eat everybody. Seriously.
That's a
Damn.
good one.
Damn, if he was high, that whole arc might have went a lot faster.
We just totally did.
Seriously.
So much chocolate. So much chocolate.
All the chocolate and cookies he could eat.
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you for being on here. This has been amazing. Thank you for talking to me and letting my guests know about Into the Abyss, about that coming out again. Congratulations on getting that fully funded and back. Congratulations on the coming into your school journey, Chad and Josiah. Like, that's amazing.
Thank
Thumbs up, claps, hats off to you guys. Josh, Brandon, your artwork, amazing. Like, again, 1,000 weapons. I do not know how you did it, but you did it. That's so cool. Brandon, we've been talking on IG for a while. It's been a long time coming. Thank you for being on here, my friend. I appreciate you bringing your team on here and everything. Guys, please let the people know where they can find you. Josiah, you want to start?
Y'all can find me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. I think also Blue Sky at Masuda_J.
Nice. Josh?
You can find me at J Baldwin Art across TikTok, Instagram. My website should be back up within a week, so www.jbaldwinart.com.
Nice. Chad?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Chad_MPH. M is in Mary, P is in Paul, H is in hat. And you can catch me on Instagram with the longest Instagram name ever. doctoral_candidate_Chad. And again, that's doctoral_candidate_Chad. So have fun finding that, guys.
And Brandon?
I'm Brandon Manga on Instagram and TikTok, and in the future YouTube. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Oh, and of course, when can we expect to, be able to get a copy of Into the Abyss, or is that still, you guys still kind of working out a date for that?
I believe the Kickstarter ends during this podcast, believe it or not. So within the next hour or so, and to get a copy, unfortunately, you have to back the project. But in the future, who knows? Yeah, in the future, who knows what we have planned? Because if it's received well, then like Josh was saying, and I know Chad's brought this up before, and I know everybody here would probably want to do a part 2 or more. So, we'd have to print them out in bulk, get them shipped out, and then get them to people. But yeah, hopefully in sometime in 2026.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, I'm putting it out there. It's gonna happen. We're all gonna be able to read it, and then we're gonna get a part two because it's gonna be so well received, and I can't wait.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
man.
me.
Of course, thanks again for being here, guys. Folks, these guys are amazing. Go follow them, check out their amazing artwork, and hopefully you are able to back the project and have a chance to read Into the Abyss. And if not, like I said, I have a feeling that it's going to be well received and we're going to be able to read it sometime in 2026. But as always, folks, be sure to meditate, medicate, hydrate, and be great. Until next time.
Johnny.